But up first, we are a week away from Election Day, and I want to share with you an excellent new resource
Mm.
from Bolts Magazine. Well, new to me, they've been doing it for a number of years now, and if you don't know about it, you need to check it out. So let's all together head to boltsmag.org. There is a banner at the top of the page that asks what's on the ballot. There is a year 2025 that you can click on, and then your guide to the fall. And it is a literal, they call it a cheat sheet of all of the 2025 general elections. There are over 180
Wow.
elections on the ballot this year across 32 states, and we are talking about they've got everything on here from federal, state government, governors, state judges, its Supreme Courts, down to parks boards and referendums on transportation, parks, large bond packages for infrastructure. They've got races related to county executives, sheriffs, prosecutors. It is an absolutely remarkable guide that they have here, and also very accessible. Like, you can move around the website very easily. It doesn't take a lot of like, how do I figure all of this out? Whoever designed the website, chef's kiss, no notes. And there were a few races here that I thought I would call out for folks because they're going to have a huge implication, not just for the LGBTQ community, but for the LGBTQ community. And one of those is in Pennsylvania next Tuesday. And it is about the courts. And there are three different court elections happening. So there's for the Supreme Court, for the Superior Court,
Hmm.
and for the Commonwealth Court.
Hmm.
Now, the Supreme Court, I think, would be the most important of the three. And in each election, Bolts does a really good job of summarizing in like a paragraph or two exactly what's the situation there, what is sort of an expectation or where the race is going. So, for instance, here they write that 3 Democratic justices are up for retention,
Yep.
and they explain what that means. So, apparently, in Pennsylvania, you don't just have an election for justices who are already on the court. You have a retention vote first, which says, yeah, I want to keep them, we're all good, or no, I don't want to keep them, so let's actually have an election for that seat on the Pennsylvania Supreme Court. So next week, 3 judges are having a retention vote. And retentions, as Bolts lays out there, pretty sleepy affairs. But conservatives are trying to get 3 seats on the court because, as you can imagine, MAGA wants Pennsylvania Supreme Court to be playing a role in the 2028 presidential election, with the Electoral College votes being assigned to, I'm sure they're trying to get it to their MAGA candidate. That's my editorial there. That's not Bolts' editorial, but they do have a great story where they're unpacking what's happening in that particular election. So you can read that article in addition to the synopsis of that particular race. Jim?
I would just say that it's much more dramatic than that. The Republicans are spending, because they're failing in the New Jersey governor's race, they're failing in the Virginia governor's race. They believe that this is one they can sneak up on us and steal. And it would have, because it's the largest swing state, they could guarantee themselves a presidency for decades if we don't stop it. The other thing they've done is they've put out false advertising postcards that say, if you believe in a woman's right to vote, or sorry, a woman's control over her own body, then vote no. But actually, that does the opposite. So they've literally sent hundreds of thousands of postcards encouraging people to vote no and putting some progressive position on it so that people will do what they go, oh, well, I want to vote no. But actually, by voting no, you will take the Democrat out and allow the possibility of a Republican to replace. So it's a completely dishonest campaign, and they're spending $1 billion on it, and they have got volunteers up the wazoo. So Pennsylvania is kind of ground zero, in my opinion, for 2025. So I would just add about 50% more screaming and yelling to what John just said.
More editorial, but it is an important race because we've been not just here at the show. A lot of folks are zeroed in on like 3 races right now. Obviously, we all know there's a mayoral election happening in New York City. If we look at the votes, just the early vote, more voters voted on Saturday and this past Saturday and Sunday in the early vote than all of the people who voted early in all of 2021 for New York's previous mayoral election. However, there are a number of other cities who are also having elections for their mayor. Fairbanks, Alaska Fairbanks already had their election, as I'm looking at the guide here, and I didn't know that this was actually a flip. So the mayor of Fairbanks, which is Alaska's second largest city, was a Republican named David Pruse, and he was facing Mindy O'Neill, who was a Democrat. And he did something, apparently, a lot of things that were on social media very derogatory and discriminatory against Alaska Native people. And so in the election, that came up a lot. And the Democrat O'Neill prevailed, and so that was a flip. And so Fairbanks, Alaska now has a Democratic governor or mayor. Miami, Florida also has a mayor election happening this fall, this November. Atlanta, Georgia also has a mayoral election. Topeka, Kansas, New Orleans in Louisiana does, Annapolis, Maryland, Boston, Dearborn, Detroit. I'm here in the Twin Cities, Minneapolis. So there are a lot of cities, not just Minneapolis, actually, St. Paul as well. A lot of cities are having mayoral elections, and they may very well be, if there are currently Republican mayors there. A majority of these do have Democratic mayors currently. But I'll also be interested to see how these elections are playing out, particularly have those cities been the target of the current MAGA administration? And if so, are people happy with how their mayor has been responding? Are they not happy with how their mayor is responding? Like, how much are national issues showing up in these races, if at all? And that was just a number of cities. There are a huge number of cities here who are having mayoral elections. We have all of the mayor candidates, not all of them, I should say, but a number of them have already been here. We have another one tomorrow with Minnesota State Senator Omar Fateh, who will be talking with us. And so we're the only ones really in the radio space here in the Twin Cities who have been providing LGBTQ coverage of the Minneapolis mayoral race. So you can check out our playlist on YouTube that has all of those tied together. Other things that I wanted to, so governors, Jim, you were mentioning governors earlier. New Jersey and Virginia have gubernatorial elections next Tuesday. Pretty much folks are saying, yeah, Democrat Abigail Spanberger is going to win in Virginia. The polling, I think, is more toss-up in New Jersey, where Republican Jack Ciattarelli is going up against a Democrat, Mike Sherrill. So we will see how that plays out. I think, Jim, you're more optimistic about that election.
Well, I am. And is it Mike Sherrill or Mickey Sherrill? I'm not sure.
I'm sorry, I said yes, Mickey, not Michael.
And I don't know whether Mickey identifies as male or female, but it sounds like a female name. I don't know. I'm not sure.
I think I just said Michael speaking. Yes.
Oh, I see.
I misspoke.
I see.
Thank you.
The election in New Jersey, again, this is a blue state. I would expect if blue states aren't angry, then we're in deep trouble. So I'm going to say if you're thrilled with the direction of the country, I guess stay home. But if you're paying attention, of course, you shouldn't be. So Democrats should be showing up. They should be looking in every cupboard and every closet to find another Democrat that hasn't voted and drag them to the polls or get them to register now, because that would be our 24th and 25th Democratic governors, which symbolically would give us half of the state houses. Control of state houses is going to be essential come 2028. Life essential.
And the Bolts magazine, their election guide also has one of the tabs here, who will run these state governments. And so they identify where there are state legislatures in play in this election. Right now, it is New Jersey and Virginia. In New Jersey, Democrats control the state government, and so they are defending their governorship and assembly to keep a trifecta going. In Virginia, no single party has a trifecta, if you will. The Democrats control the Senate and the House, but they don't have the governorship. So that's what's on the line there in Virginia. Bolts also lays out legislative special elections that are happening. And I think the New Hampshire 5th is an interesting one to look at. It has here that the GOP flipped this state house district, but the winner ended up resigning this year. And so that is what's causing a competitive special election. There are a couple more that I want to highlight when we come back. I hear the music coming on. So you are listening to The Gailey Show on AM 950, the progressive voice of Minnesota, and WCPT 820, Chicago's Progressive Talk. All right, before the break, we were talking about Bolts Magazine's excellent election guide. The election is a week from today. You can head to boltsmag.org. There on their front page, they have a banner across the top, what's on your ballot, select 2025, your fall guide. There are a couple of other races here or sections within the guide that I want to highlight. One is the election law. So they're covering laws, referendums that are dealing with how elections are run in a given state. So I think a lot of us are aware about Prop 50 in California. This is to essentially create a Democratic gerrymander of that state and potentially erase all GOP districts in California. There's also question 1 in Maine, which Maine MAGA is going after, which would upend their statewide election procedures, including imposing a number of restrictions on mail voting and what type of voter ID can be used, can't be used, etc. New York City is looking at, so there are cities within the state that have moved their municipal elections to even numbered years. And because of that, turnout has soared. So folks in New York City are now looking at whether they should join that as well and move their elections to even number years. And then in Texas, they've got Prop 16, which it's already illegal for non-citizens to vote in that state, but now they are looking to enshrine that in their state constitution. Another area that I think it'd be important to look at, super important to look at, is control of local school boards. And there are a number of races that are happening across the country. One that I am personally paying attention to is Douglas County, Colorado. So conservatives currently have a 4-3 majority. This is one of the largest school districts in the state of Colorado, and Colorado has been the source of litigation that has gone to the Supreme Court that has undone a lot of LGBTQ protections or created religious exemptions to those laws. And currently, all of the seats that are held by conservatives, so 4 of them, are up next Tuesday. And so I'm going to be watching to see what happens there. It is a nonpartisan election per the guide here, as I learned from Bolts Magazine, but there is a MAGA supported slate and then there's a Democratic supported slate as well. So that is one that I will be watching out for. If you are on Blue Sky, or if you need a reason to join Blue Sky, you should head there, if only for one night a year, which is election night. You can follow the editor-in-chief of Bolts Magazine, Daniel Nichanian. He provides live updates and analysis on his Blue Sky account, and I just sit there and refresh the page, his page, all night long. On Blue Sky, he is Taniel, Taniel, .bsky.social. And again, I really recommend this guide. It's at boltsmag.org. What's on your ballot right there on the top of the home page.